We are live over on Rumble and YouTube. Good morning. We're good on Facebook. We're good on LinkedIn. Good live on Instagram. Live on TikTok. Please like the live as y'all are coming in, checking in on TikTok. And make sure we are good on X. Let's check. On X, we are live on X. Good morning, everybody, as y'all are checking in. Let's see. Let me see here. Just see, looking at some things people said in the news. Okay. So it's a topic here today. We are talking about Vegas. Some are saying that Vegas might be over. I don't know about that, but we're going to talk about it. Maybe it is. Tell me your location as y'all are checking into the comments. Tell me your locations as y'all are checking in. Leave a comment. Tell me where you are checking in from so we can get into this conversation. Shout out to everybody who's in Vegas, whether visiting or you are residing there. We are good. Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, LinkedIn. Everybody's good. TikTok and Instagram. So let's see what we got here. Please like the live as y'all are coming in on TikTok. Just tap the screen that likes the live. Corona Blue, good morning. Nikki, thank you for the like of the live. Traditional all day, good morning. Yes, tap the screen as you come in. Marky Man, Sacramento is in the building. Good morning. Newburgh, New York. Carol Ann Collins, Robbie Lance, Jefferson, Georgia. Dolly Matt from CLT. Shout out to, I believe that's Charlotte. Shout out to Charlotte. Jammers from Colwell. Is that Colorado? Better New from Dallas. Shout out to Dallas. North California is in the building. XTR. James August from DC. Shout out to DC. Carla, Indiana. Good morning. Jammers. I don't know what that is. I think Colorado. Okay. Ron Johnson from Lima, Ohio. Happiness Now from the ATL. Shout out to Atlanta. Done a lot of business there. So the topic here today is we're talking Vegas. So Las Vegas, all of you know, Las Vegas is still known as, some people are saying used to be, known as a destination. Just a place that you went for vacation, a place that you went with your friends, a place that you might go have a wedding or a party or something you would do just as a destination place to go rather than just going to some place that you can drive your car to in your local town. For decades, Vegas was the place. Now people are saying it's becoming a warning sign. So this is the place where you went for excess. You go to Vegas, blow money, indulge in whatever you like to indulge in, whether that's girls, partying, nights out, alcohol, food, whatever. Enjoy yourself, escape. Vegas was an escape. But what is happening, it appears that cracks are starting to show in the facade of Las Vegas as an idea. I mean, the city still exists, but cracks are starting to show. So reports are saying that tourism is down. In other words, fewer people are going to Vegas. Hotel room prices are going down. And a lot of companies are slashing staff and they're slashing services in Vegas. And the resort fees, the hidden taxes have turned what is advertised as a cheap room into an overpriced stay. And I hate when companies do that. They all do it. If you order food from a place, they have these fees that they add on that are not listed in the price. You get an Airbnb, they do the same thing. If you get a hotel, and especially in a place like Vegas, they do the same thing. Any place that can do the resort fee scam, they all do it. And they basically get extra money out of you without advertising it, which should be illegal. But guests are complaining that the service got worse, that the crime is up in Vegas. I haven't known Vegas to be a place where there's a lot of crime, but people who spend a lot of time in Vegas are saying that there's more crime taking place in Vegas, which is a warning sign. That's a red flag. And the overall experience is just not what it used to be. In Vegas, allegedly, according to what I've read and heard, they're not even trying to hide this anymore. They are basically pivoting away from the everyday gambler because that's what Vegas used to be for, right? The person who would go to Vegas, bring a bunch of money, don't even mind that they lose all their money, because usually when you gamble, the house takes you. You usually lose all the money that you gamble, but had a good time doing it. Well, eat a bunch of food, drink a bunch of drinks, go mingle with the other people who are there, and have a good time losing all your money gambling in Vegas. This used to be the way that it was. And what insiders are saying is that Vegas has now pivoted, and instead of being a place for the everyday gambler to come lose money, that they are shifting more towards the big ticket events. So, they had the F1 there, and other sporting events. They got a basketball team in Vegas now, a WNBA team, but still a basketball team. They had concerts, conventions. They've always had concerts and conventions in Vegas, but it seems like Vegas has pivoted towards, it's more about the big events, the big ticket events, rather than a place that the everyday person can go at any time they felt like it, just to have a good time. So it's not about personal fun anymore. It's basically become corporate. So all these things that I just said, sporting events, concerts, conventions, like the F1 event, all these are corporate sponsored events. This is all corporate money, and this is not for the everyday person anymore. Now, why does that matter? That matters because most of us, if we're going to go to a place like Vegas and spend money, we're doing it as everyday people. We're not doing it as a representative of a corporation. We're not using a corporate credit card. This is not a expense that we're writing off as part of the company. Well, sometimes it is, but we're not the ones having the event. Let me put it that way. We're the ones attending the event, having a good time, bringing the family, bringing the kids, and bringing your friends from school and having a good time in Vegas. So the question is this shift with Las Vegas? Some calling it a downfall. I'm not going to go that far yet. I need to go to Vegas and see for myself. I was last in Vegas. It is now August. I was last in Vegas 6 months ago, and I didn't notice any downfall in Las Vegas. Didn't seem like it had fallen off that much. But at the same time, I have to add the caveat that I'm not a partier. I'm not a nighttime person, and I don't drink and I don't gamble. So I wasn't doing a whole lot of things that you actually do when a lot of people go to Vegas. So I would need to go there again. I would need to see what it's like at night. For the most part, I was active during the day when I was there in Vegas. So I would have to go there again and just see what it's like, walk the strip a little bit more. It's better in the summertime when it's actually hot, not in the February when it's a little bit cold. It gets cold out in the desert. So is this a sign of something bigger is the real question here. It's not really about Vegas. It is, but it's not. Is this a precursor, an omen of a bigger fall in everything that's happening in society? That's the question I'm going to ask here today. Of what used to work for the economy, which is give people an opportunity to have fun, to spend money, all to have an escape. Is that no longer working? And if it's happening in Vegas, where's it going to happen next? What does that say about how people feel about spending money for leisure and fun and getaways and vacations, etc.? What does that say about that for the entire economy? That's the question that we're going to ask and answer here today. Let me ask a question before I get into introducing myself and then get into these points. How many of you have been on or you have already booked or planned a vacation for 2025? If you have been on vacation or you've already booked and paid for a vacation for this year, this calendar year, put yes in the comments. And if you have not and you don't plan on going on vacation this year, put no in the comments. I'm especially interested in those of you who normally do go on vacations. Have you cut back on your vacationing? Is any of you doing more vacationing? So I'm getting a bunch of yeses that many of you are either going on vacation or you've already booked or planned or paid for a vacation. So the vacations are still happening. Any of you going to Vegas? Anybody going to Vegas on vacation? Brian said, went to Belize and Aruba cutting back, meaning that you did in the past, but you wouldn't go now. Bruce is on vacation right now. Shout out to people listening to me on vacation. Asha from Memphis said, you went to Vegas in January. Anybody going to Vegas? Anybody going to Vegas on vacation? Any Vegas vacations? P. Marie said in October. Mr. Ohio J said no to Vegas. Six Missy said no, Vegas is nuts. What about it? Ashley said just got back from Vegas. Is this vacation? Y'all going on vacations to Vegas? Is that still a thing? I'm going on vacation to Vegas more than once, and I enjoyed it. But what people are saying is that the experience is getting worse. I mean, the hotel rooms being cheaper actually is not a bad thing. But we're going to get into all that. So let me introduce myself. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we help people produce consistent performance and consistent outcomes through our system, which is all based on weaponizing performance, discipline, and accountability. You can learn more about working with me, working with our systems and our programs by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com, workonyourgame.com, or whatever link you see in my profile, which will take you to all the places you need to go. We have our 6-week training program called the Power Presence Protocol starting on August 19th. That is exactly 2 weeks from today. August 19th, I'm going to be doing a 6-week live training on this program called the Power Presence Protocol, which is all about your energy, your aura, the way you show up, your posture, internal and external posture, and how this makes all the difference with how people respond to you. It's not about you being famous or having a bunch of followers on social media or driving a nice car or wearing nice clothes. Those things may contribute, but the main thing is about your energy and the way you show up. Again, it's called the Power Presence Protocol. You can learn more about that by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com/power. POWER. You can learn more about that program. Again, it's starting on August 19th. You can register now, but once we start, it's locked in. So make sure you get in get in today so that you don't have to worry about it. Again, that's workonyourgameuniversity.com/power. So Vegas hotel prices, they say that the prices are down. Room availability is up. This signals weak demand in what used to be a high occupancy market. So let's check that out and let's find out if this is true. When y'all go to Vegas, what hotels do you stay at? I'll tell you where I got 3 places in Vegas that I like to stay. If I go to Vegas, I'm either staying if I go there with friends sometimes, and I'm going to be honest, I got a couple of friends who are cheap. They are financially cheap. They're not broke. They're just cheap. So we will stay at a place like the Venetian. Venetian is a nice place. Venetian is a nice hotel. It ain't the best one, but the Venetian is nice. I'm not mad at staying at the Venetian. Right now, they say if I was to stay at the Venetian, today is August 5th. Let's say if I was to stay at the Venetian from next Monday, the 11th, through next Friday, the 15th. Let's see what kind of prices they're giving me. Monday through Friday, they say I like to book straight to the hotel. By the way, if you book a hotel anywhere, don't book through one of these booking places like booking.com or Priceline or super.com or VO, or I've never heard of these people. Don't book through these places, because if anything goes wrong with your booking, the hotel is going to tell you, well, whoever you booked through, you got to fix the problem with them. We didn't book it, so you can't come to us. Just a word of caution. Never book your stuff through one of these aggregators. Always go straight to the platform itself. So if you go to Venetian, then book with the Venetian's website. So about $163 a night. Not bad. That's about normal. Usually it can be a little bit higher than that. So I like let's see, Detroit in the house. Dwayne, I see you. Let's see. Let me see. Anybody told me. So Madison said the Luxor and the Fontainebleau. There's a Fontainebleau in Vegas. Where's the Fontainebleau? Carlos said the Bellagio, South Point, and Green Valley. I'm a local. Mr. Ski Collins, I never heard either one of those. So I'm assuming those are off the strip. Fair enough. You're a local, so you know. Sherry said the MGM. I'm not a fan of the MGM, but I understand. Wait, did I say the MGM? I did. I stayed at the MGM. Where was I at? I was at a conference probably last year, and it was at the MGM, and I stayed there. I'm trying to remember what the hotel room was like. I can't remember. MGM wasn't bad, but I'm not a big fan. The casino smelled like cigarette smoke. They all smell like that, but this one was worse, so I didn't like that. The Aria, I mess with. I like the Aria. The Paris, not a fan. Not a fan of the Paris. Brian said the Wynn or South Point. What's South Point? Dally said Excalibur. I know what that is, but I never stayed there. And Traditional said, I said, if I knew I had to pay for a third-party booking, I wouldn't. Lady said, are you in Vegas? No, I'm in Miami. So I like the Venetian. If I'm with friends who are cheap, then I don't mind staying at the Venetian. But generally, the Venetian is not the best. I like the Cosmopolitan. If I had to pick one, I like the Cosmopolitan. And I'm going to tell you why I like the Cosmo. I like the Cosmo, and the other one I like is the Wynn and the Encore, which are basically sister, what are they, like cousins, 2 towers, same hotel. If I'm going there and I'm just being exclusive or I'm just doing business and I don't need to be in the mix, then I'll probably stay at the Wynn or the Encore, because it's all the way it's kind of like the end of the strip, basically. They may be extending the strip, but it's basically at the end of the strip. It's a very nice hotel, very nice casino, very clean place. Has a mall downstairs. The Wynn and Encore, I think, is the best on the strip as far as I'm concerned. And it gives you a little bit more quiet because it's kind of at the end. If I want to be in the mix, then I would mess with the Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan, what I liked about that one is the last time I was there, I had a room with a jacuzzi in the bedroom. It was a king bed and had jacuzzi in the room. And I was on one of the higher floors with the balcony. And in Vegas, hardly any of the hotel rooms have balconies. Cosmo has a balcony, and I was on like I don't know what floor, 55th floor or something like that. And it had a jacuzzi in the room, and it had a balcony, which I like. So I like the Cosmo for that reason, and because when you go to the Cosmopolitan, as soon as you walk out of the hotel, you're right in the mix. You're right in the middle of everything. So if you want to be in the mix, I like the Cosmo, or you can go with the Aria. The Aria is pretty good too. Aria is very nice, more upscale. It has better food options, I think, than the Cosmo. Cosmo has good food options. Aria has better food options. So if you like more, a little bit more highbrow, I think Aria, Cosmo, Wynn/Encore, and then Venetian if you're trying to save a couple dollars. So that's what I like. And if you're with a big group, Venetian is good just to make sure, if anybody's cheap. You got cheap friends, then you might have to stay at the Venetian. So let me see what the prices are for Venetian. That's the Venetian. Let's see what the Aria's prices are. We don't look at the prices for these same dates. So at the Aria right now they keep changing the dates on me. So this is Google Maps I'm looking at. But let's say I stayed from the 11th to the 15th. The Aria is about $172 a night. Not bad. It's the middle of the summer right now, so usually going to Vegas is cheaper at this time of year simply because there's less competition because it's hot everywhere. So at the Wynn Las Vegas, let's see what their prices are. Now the Wynn, I would expect this to be higher. Let's see, $204 a night, so it is higher. I like the Wynn. If I had to pick one hotel, if I had to tell you to stay at one hotel, if you're going there with a special someone, it's just you and that person, I would tell you to stay at the Wynn. My personal opinion. And what was the other one I said? The Cosmopolitan. So let's see what the Cosmo is saying. Cosmopolitan Las Vegas. Cosmopolitan Las Vegas. Now this one is showing actually very cheap. So let's say the 11th to the 15th. No, that's wrong. The 11th through the 15th. Cosmo is quoting right now $158 a night. This is the cheapest one out of all of them. Now, it depends on what kind of room they're talking. So they would have to, I need the room I need the balcony, I need the jacuzzi in the room. So it'd probably be a lot higher. On a Cosmopolitan site, though, it says $255 a night. I would probably go on their website and get it from them. I don't trust any of these aggregator sites. Never, ever, ever book travel through an aggregator site. A flight, a car, a hotel, don't ever do it. They will rob you. They will rob you. And if something goes wrong, you got to call them. And you're talking to some person who's outsourced in Indonesia who is reading off a computer screen and can't even answer your questions. So just a word of caution. So the Terrace Studio, I'm just looking at this one. One king bed is $305 a night. So this is about what I expect. This is the one with the balcony. So this is the view you get. I'll show y'all this if I can show it. This is the view you get off the balcony at the Cosmo for $300 a night. $305 a night. $250 average room rate, and then you got the $55 daily resort fee. See, that's the robbery right there. The robbery is that resorts fee. I'm not a fan of the resort fee. This is where they rob you. This is the exact kind of room I was in, Terrace Studio, this one right here. So the bed looks like that, and it has a little dividing wall next to it. And then it's like a little living room and couch right here. I don't know why you need all this with just two people. Then you got the vanity with the double sinks. And see, this don't even have a jacuzzi in the room. See, I need the one with the jacuzzi. So it probably costs more. Let me see if I can find the one with the jacuzzi in the room. So they got the executive suite. This doesn't have a balcony. All right, I'll have to dig through this. See, this is why you need an executive assistant so they can do all this work to look through all this shit. I'm not doing it right now. The whole point is the prices look pretty normal to what they were before. But let's continue. Please keep liking the live, everybody. Thank you for liking the live. You're doing a great job. So it signals, according to people who study this stuff, I'm not one of them, that the prices are down, room availability is up. That signals weak demand in what used to be a high occupancy market. Vegas is a place. Let me ask this question. How many of you in the past, Vegas was a place you would go and now you don't really look at Vegas anymore? Put me in the chat if you fit that description. Like Vegas is a place that in the past, if you wanted to go on a vacation, Vegas was like your first thought, and nowadays is not your first thought. And those of you who say me, where are you going now? Where's your alternative? So if you're not going to Vegas, where are you going? Crespo said never. You never thought about Vegas? Vegas is a great place to go. Even if you don't party, I don't party. Even if you don't drink, I don't drink. And even if you don't gamble, I don't gamble. I'll gamble a little bit. I might gamble $50. And if I win, then I'll keep going. All right, so everybody giving answers of alternate places. Y'all are all going outside the country. Okay, so we got Sherry said Europe, we got Dubai, we got Belize. Dowling said staycations until I can afford foreign. See, the thing about traveling internationally is, first of all, that flight takes forever. Time is the most important consideration to me. Yes, the money, but it's the time. You can fly internationally actually for pretty cheap. A lot of people think it costs more than it does, but you can fly internationally for pretty cheap. Is the time of the flight is one thing, and then there's all the red tape. Especially during, I remember I went international in 2021. Too much red tape, but the tests you had to have and all that, that was not my thing. But let me see what else y'all said. High level say you never been to Vegas and it over. LOL. I don't know who you're talking about, but okay. Mason said I go to Vegas twice a year. All right, shout out to Vegas. Michelle said cruises. I've never gone on a cruise. I've been on a cruise boat, but I've never gone on a cruise. I don't like being stuck on something that I can't get off of. Generally, I don't like that. And being around, who knows? If there's a bunch of idiots on the boat, now you can't get away from them, and you're stuck with them for the whole time. So, high level said you said Vegas is over. Vegas is over is a figure of speech. It's a question, not a assertion. So anyway, cheap Vegas rooms still come with hidden fees. This is the part that I never liked about the. They do this in Miami, even though I live here, so I haven't had to deal with it, paying with it. But they in Miami Beach, especially, not even Miami Beach, they do this with the resort fees. You stay at a place like the Fountain Blue, any big place. I don't know what the laws are for who can assess the. Let's see if we can find out. What types of hotels and places are allowed to assess resort fees when you stay at their hotels? I noticed that certain places do it, but others do not. So what's the difference? The resort fees where they rob you. All right, this is actual. This is highway robbery. It is, I believe, is false advertising. And somebody in the government, they want to do something that affects everyday people. That's one thing they could start with, is doing something about these resort fees. And they say that hotels most likely to charge resort fees are large hotels and tourist destinations like Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Hawaii, New York. They use resort fees so they can look cheaper. Then they add the fee after the fact. They tell you later on. And of course, we all know the places to do it. And resorts that have on-site amenities. So if they have pools, spas, gyms, beach access, golf courses, and the fee is framed as covering quote unquote amenities, whether you use them or not. I don't like these at all. Some boutique hotels do it. They say some places in South Beach, Napa, or Aspen. I've never been to those two places. And hotels that don't charge it are the budget hotels, business hotels, places in non-tourist areas. So it's marketing, generally is marketing trickery, of course, is a revenue booster. And some cities or states are cracking down on these fees, and some allow it because they're collecting money off it, off the taxes. And yeah, this is just, personally, I'm just not a fan. It's just dirty business. It's dishonest business to say that our hotel room is $250 a night, but you have to pay a $55 resort fee for every night you stay at the hotel. All right, you're lying to me. That's a lie. Don't say it's $250 a night if it's a mandatory fee that I have to pay to stay at the hotel. You're lying to me. That is false advertising. And Bernie Sanders should be going after this. Who's the politician that's all about this kind of stuff? They should be going after this. This shouldn't be happening. And it's been years that they've been doing this. I've never been a fan of this. So they inflate the real cost far beyond what's advertising. You're often paying for stuff that you're not even using. And again, it's just a straight up lie. It's just a way of, it's the same thing as when you go to the store and you order some food and you go get it for pickup and they're asking you, do you want to leave a tip? What am I tipping you for? You didn't do anything. Are you just standing there? I did more work to get here and pick up my food than you did to stand at the counter and just say, my name is Dre, and you hand me the bag. You ain't do nothing. I'm supposed to tip you for what? All right. So I am not a fan of any of this stuff, but this is something Vegas has been doing for a long time. So tourists are realizing the bait and switch. A lot of people don't like the resort fee stuff. This used to be affordable luxury. Now it feels like they're nickel and diming you. I've heard that in Vegas that now a lot of hotels are no longer doing the valet service, that now you pay to park. Whoever drives to Vegas, I've never driven to Vegas, but I know some people who have driven to Vegas, that now is you pay for your parking. They don't have valet anymore. And a lot of hotels have just cut down on staff. So there's just fewer people to actually do the stuff that you want done. And you still have to do a lot of things on your own. You may still have to pay for it. And the service is not as good. And the workers working at places like this, they don't give a damn because they are just automatons and they know they're about to get replaced by AI. And hopefully they're just biding their time so they can get a better job or a better career opportunity. So a lot of tourists are realizing this is one of the reasons why the numbers are down. So hospitality staff, as I just said, service is down, quality is down, guests are noticing that there's a longer wait time to get stuff. The staff is more rude. There's less attention and less experience. This you can see at everyday business. I went to Chipotle, not yesterday, 2 days ago. I went to Chipotle to pick up some food that I ordered. And when you walk up to the counter, you don't even get a smile. The people are just standing there and they just look at you. And you almost got to speak before they speak. They don't even say hello. I told her who the order was for. She gives me the bag and there was no thanks, come again. There's nothing, no smile, no nothing. And I understand the workers on one level. I understand them on a level that they know that they're about to get replaced. They know they're not about to have a job. And they got the internet too. So they know that people are telling them that you are getting robbed and exploited by the company you work for because they're not paying you a quote unquote living wage while literally you're standing at the counter at Chipotle putting rice and beans and steak into a bowl. How much money do you expect to make for doing that? Do y'all know? Did y'all see this? About a week ago, I posted about this about a week ago on my story on Instagram, but I don't know if y'all on TikTok or other apps saw it, but let me find the story. Can you pull up the story of the company that has created the automated fry machine that they are now installing into a lot of fast food and quick service restaurants? Tell me the name of it. Tell me what the technology is and how they're moving forward right now. Because I saw this, and this is email that I subscribe to called The Deep View. And they basically talk about artificial intelligence. They send an email out every day. And I was catching up on one of the old emails, and I saw this. So there's a company called Miso Robotics. Have you heard of this? This company's called Miso Robotics, and they're based in Pasadena, California. And they have a product, It's called the Flippy. It's called the Flippy Automated Fry Station Robot. Have y'all heard about this? This right here is about to put a whole lot of people out of a career. So the Flippy, this company was founded in 2016 by some engineers from Caltech, some geeks who work on computers. So the Flippy is a robotic arm that manages fry duties. Do you understand where this is going? So dunking the baskets of fries into the oil, shaking the oil off, timing the fries, and other items. It can make wings, it can make onion rings, it can make fries, and it's all done by an AI-driven computer with vision and machine learning. So it fits into an existing kitchen with your standard fryer. It avoids a major layout redesign. And restaurant tech experts and people on Reddit are saying that this thing is legit, this is real, this is actually good technology. And it can ramp up throughput during rushes, adapt to menu items, i.e. it can make onions 1 minute, it can make fries the next minute. It can coordinate cooking sequences. And there's a new one that's about half the size of the original, twice as fast, easier. You can install this thing in a couple hours. So it's not like you got to redesign your whole store. It installs in a couple hours, and it's optimized to retrofit in places like White Castle and Jack in the Box. All right, do y'all see where this is going? So right now, White Castle has this in 17 locations. I know White Castle still existed, but they got it in 17 locations. White Castle, 350 restaurants in America. Who knew? I didn't know. Jack in the Box has it in select locations, but they're about to do more. This thing called Cali Express, I don't know what that is. The world's first fully autonomous fast food restaurant is an AI-powered restaurant. It has fry and grill stations. You order at a kiosk. It even has facial recognition payment. And it's a standout performer at this place called Cali Express by Flippy. They got their own restaurant, this place Flippy. And they also struck a major partnership with a company called Ecolab. And they have a collaboration with NVIDIA, who is the number one hardware maker of AI technology, by the way. If you want an investment tip, this is not investment advice, but you want an investment tip, NVIDIA, good one to bet on for the future. Just my theory. That is not investment advice. The whole point here, I'm bringing that up to let y'all know, these people who work at the Chipotle's and the Burger Kings and the Subway, they know they're about to get replaced. They're about to not have a job. There won't be a job because they're going to be computers doing this. This company, Miso, with their Flippy product, they're going out first to show that this is doable. And as more companies see it, it won't be long before McDonald's, Burger King, Checkers, these other Arby's, these other places where y'all buy this junk. All right, they're going to replace all humans working in those stores. There won't be any humans working in these places. I'm saying all that to say that these entry-level workers working at these type of jobs, talking about a living wage, they're going to find out what a living wage is when this technology comes in over the next 10 years, and they are trying to figure out how to live. That's what they're really going to have a problem with. Not a living wage. You're going to be figuring out how do I live because you won't have a job unless you step your skills up. And the people in Vegas are no different. They're no different. And Vegas is cutting back just like New York is cutting back and Colorado is cutting back and California is cutting back. They're all cutting back. And these hospitality staffs are getting worse because the only people who are taking these jobs, again, they're lame ducks. And the staff is asked to do more for less money. And you got more demands on you because you still got all these people that you have to serve. And I mean, what are you gaining from this? So Vegas is going to adapt to this next. All right, that's coming pretty soon. I say by the year 2035, you're going to go to Vegas and you're going to be dealing with computers, not people. A lot of what you're going to be dealing with are computers, not people, when you go to Vegas. That's my prediction. So Vegas now is shifting to events. Oh, yeah. So I mentioned they had a sports team. I forgot the Raiders. So they got the Raiders, the football team. They have Formula One event. I think they do that every year. They often have UFC fights. And, of course, you got concerts. So this is targeting high dollar ticket holders, not casual travelers, not the people coming there to gamble around a couple $100 and have some pizza and eat at the buffets. They're not doing that anymore. Oh, yeah. While we're on the subject, the buffets. You want to talk about robbery? All right, here's another robbery happening in Vegas. It's the damn buffets. Any of you ever go to the buffets in Vegas? Last time I was in Vegas, not the last time, but the time before that, when I was in Vegas, I went to the, I think it was the Bellagio. Is the Bellagio the one with the most famous buffet? What's the best or the most famous buffet in Vegas? Is it Bellagio? I think it was Bellagio. So I go there, and the buffet was like, how much was this buffet? It was like $60. Is that about right? Anybody been to Bellagio buffet recently? I think it's $60. This might have been a year and a half ago. Bellagio buffet, $60. The food was good. I liked the food. There was a lot of food. There were more options that you could possibly eat. And by the way, any of you who's never been outside of the United States of America, you want to know why America has an obesity problem? It's because we eat too much food. A buffet is a great example of how Americans just eat as much food as on our plate. And a buffet is basically inviting you to eat as much as you possibly can. This is the reason why we have an obesity issue. And we got childhood obesity. I was at the park with my son yesterday, and there's a kid running around there. He couldn't have been more than 12 years old. This kid was about 225 pounds. There was no reason this kid should have been that big at that age. But anyway, this is what happens in America. We eat too much food. But I went to the Bellagio buffet. That buffet had to have been about $60. I did not eat $60 worth of food. And even there, they got the fees they add on. They got the taxes that they add on. And what has been said is that the buffets have been cutting back. They've been cutting back on the buffets, cutting back on the stuff available at the buffet, the amount of staff working at the buffet. So they're just cutting back on everything. And the focus is now on going high ticket. Now, personally, as an entrepreneur and salesperson myself, I very much support the concept of going high ticket. For those of you who know what going high ticket means, it means instead of selling $5 and $10 and $20 products to people who are willing to spend $5, $10, and $20, instead try to sell $5, $10, and $20,000 packages to fewer people, but there is more money to be made because again, you don't have to make 10,000 sales to make a bunch of money. You don't have to make $10,001 sales to make $10,000. You can make one sale for $10,000. There's your $10,000. You only got to serve one customer. So that's the concept of going high ticket. You have to serve fewer people. You make more money. There is less hassle because you have fewer people to deal with. And people who spend more money tend to be easier to deal with, generally speaking, as a general rule. And there's higher margins. So the amount of money that you get to keep after all your expenses is a lot more when you sell high ticket than when you sell low ticket. When you sell low ticket, the margins are very small. For example, a grocery store, the margins are razor thin. It's like 1% margin when you buy something from a grocery store. That company makes like 1% of what you spent. So if you spend $10 at a grocery store, 1% of that is what? Is that 10 cents? 10 cents or 1 cent, whatever number. I think it's 10 cents. They make 10 cents profit on a $10 product in a grocery store. That's how small the margins are because there's so much competition. When you go high ticket, though, the margins are a lot bigger. So you sell a $10,000 product, you get to keep maybe $8,000 on your $10,000 sale. So there's a lot more money to be made. So on the entrepreneurial business side, I understand Vegas going high ticket. But at the same time, I don't like it because Vegas is designed to be for the everyday person as a way that you can get away. And it was the place you went in the United States, in the contiguous 48 states. The place you went if you wanted to get away and not leave the country, if you didn't have a passport, and most Americans don't have a passport, there was two places that you went. Everybody tell me the two places. Everybody knows the two. One of them is Vegas. What's the other one? Everyone knows the other one if you think about it. What's the other place you go if you're not going to Vegas? You're in the United States. You're an American. You were born here. You were raised here. There's only one other location you go to. And yeah, y'all got it. Some say Miami. No, not Miami. Orlando. No, Orlando. Orlando. I'm saying Orlando. I think maybe. Okay, so I'll give y'all Miami if you're single. If you're single, is Miami. If you got a family, you're going to Orlando. And Crespo said Puerto Rico. That's not in the contiguous 48 states. So the lower 48. So in the lower 48, you go to Vegas if you want to have some adult fun, and you go to Orlando, Disney if you want to have kid fun. Miami is a place to go, but there it is not as high as Orlando and Vegas. Those are the top two. But I get Miami. I understand. Hawaii's not in the lower 48. Lower 48, folks. So someone said Reno gamblers. Have I been to Reno? I actually have been to Reno. When I was in Reno, it was cold as hell. Which is actually funny. I'm even saying that. But anyway. So right now, Vegas seems to be targeting higher ticket events and higher ticket behavior, which again, I understand if I'm advising Vegas on how to make more money, I would tell them to do exactly what they're doing. But that's not what Vegas was supposed to be. And here's where it becomes a problem. Here's where it becomes a problem, ladies and gentlemen, is that most people in the United States of America are not high ticket customers. And and this is where we get into the bigger picture of what this means about the overall economy and about overall United States of America. We're getting to that point right here. Since most people are not high ticket buyers, when you take places that used to be for the everyday person to spend money, such as what Vegas used to be, now you turn it into a high ticket place where you got to be spending in the thousands to even get in the room. Now what happens is you're dealing with fewer people. Yes, you get to make more money, but what about that masses? What about those masses of people who used to be served by what you do? Now you just price them out of the market. Where do they go and what do they do? This is the bigger picture issue of what's happening in all of the economy. This is the bigger picture of what's happening everywhere, is that moving forward, if things keep going the way that they're going, and my prediction is they will keep going the way that they're going, here's where it's going, ladies and gentlemen, over the next 25 years. It's going to be the people who have the money to where they can play the high ticket game, i.e. you got to have a significant amount of money, a pretty good amount of money, let's say top 20%. Let's keep it with the 80-20 principle. You got to be in the top 20% of income earners and have top 20% disposable income to play, quote unquote, to play in anything. And then if you're in that bottom 80%, well, you eat the worms, as they say. You eat the bugs. And if you want to go on vacation, you go to a nice restaurant in the downtown of your city, and that's pretty much all you can do. That's what it's turning into. I'm being a bit hyperbolic, but not really. That's where it's going. If Vegas becomes this kind of place where you got to have a bunch of money just to go to Vegas, and the things for the everyday person are not being tended to anymore, and they're not upkeeping them, then why would you go to Vegas? Well, you won't. Well, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? You want to go to Miami? Miami's not cheap. Vegas, generally, I'm just trying to think. Miami versus Vegas. Only with the resort fees, but you can go to Miami for pretty cheap because you don't have to pay to do stuff in Miami. Miami, you can just walk around outside all day and have a good time. You can stop by the Cuban restaurant, get yourself a coffee, and whatever they call those things, cafecito, whatever they call those. I don't drink coffee. And you can walk around. You can go to the beach. It doesn't cost you any money to do those things. In Vegas, you got to pay for every single thing that you do. Everything you do in Vegas costs something. You go to the pool at the hotel, well, you pay for that. You pay the resort fee. You go to a show, you got to pay for that. You go eat, you got to pay for that. Vegas is going nickel and dime you for damn near everything. But people used to enjoy getting nickel and dime. It was fun to get nickel and dime. Now they've cut down the service, they've cut down the staff, they cut down the experience. Now it's not fun to get nickel and dimed anymore. Now you got people looking at their wallet like, no, why am I paying for this? That's the problem. Now, where are those people going to go? Now, as an entrepreneur, the entrepreneurial side of me says, I don't give a damn. I don't care. But the everyday citizen side of me says this does need to be addressed. And one of these politicians who's talking about the everyday person, they're claiming that they champion the everyday person. They should be talking about this and offering some solutions or doing something, or at least pounding the table on this subject. I don't know who's doing that. Maybe one of them is. I haven't heard this person. Doesn't mean they're not doing it, but I haven't heard this person. I would say Miami is actually cheaper than Vegas, so maybe more people will come to Miami. Orlando, Disney is not cheap. Any of you ever went on a family trip to Disney? Anybody here ever gone on a family trip to Disney? Whether you were the one spending the money or somebody else is spending the money, how much money got spent every day between the family? So whatever number of kids, mom, dad, how much money got spent every single day in Orlando at Disney? How much money you spending per day? Somebody put a number in the chat. Those of you who've been there, how much money you spend per day in Orlando at Disney? And I'll tell you an interesting tidbit. I heard this from about 10 years ago, and I think it's still true now, that in Orlando, Disney specifically, Disney has surpassed, this is about 10 years ago, Disney surpassed Las Vegas in the amount of money spent per head on a daily basis. It used to be Vegas was the number one place in America for how much money a person spent, or how much money got spent per person per day in that town. Vegas used to be number one. Orlando is now number one. If you go to Disney, you're spending more money per person per day than anywhere else in the country, because it's a place where people spend money. And Orlando makes it very easy for you to spend a lot of money, at least from what I've heard. I haven't been on a family trip to Disney. I've been to Disney, but I've been to Disney with all adults. I've never been there with kids. You go to Disney with kids, good luck. All right, just stack up your money in your account before you go there. All right, because they're going to get you. Guaranteed, they're going to get you. And let me see. So I'm asking how much money people spent per day in Orlando if you had kids with you. Traditional says $500. Tony says $2,000. Tony's number sounds a little bit more like what I've heard. Some of y'all say $500. How many kids you got? How many kids you had with you? You spent $500. From what I heard this from a person I know, good source, grown man, breadwinner, him, wife, child, 3 people, $1,000 a day. That's what he said, $1,000 a day. If you got multiple kids, oh, forget it. That's an easy $2,000. Easy. Bowling Lover said $250. What were you doing? Eating hot dogs? $250 in Disney in a day? $250. You got to pay $250 just to park your car. How do you spend $250 in Disney in one day? Katarina said a 3-4 day trip at Orlando is about $3,000 to $4,000. Yeah, that sounds about right. If you have kids, you're spending $1,000 a day. If you're in the park all day. User said outrageously expensive for Disney, Universal Studios, etc. Yeah, and it's fun, and people actually enjoy spending the money. Disney hasn't dropped the ball yet. They did go a little bit crazy with some of the stuff they were doing in their media things, but the park itself is still pretty well. Brian Jeffries on Instagram said family of 4, $1,500 to $2,000, park tickets, food, ancillary. Yeah, that sounds about right. Crespo said Disney is crazy expensive, $500 for 4 people. So how some of y'all spending $500 for 4 people and then others are spending $2,000? What's going on here? Now, some of y'all know something that everybody else doesn't know. From what I've heard from people I know who have gone there with kids, is easy $1,000 even with one child. From what I've heard, man, woman, child, you spend $1,000 with just 3 people. If one of them's a child. And if your child, also depends on how old your child is. If your child is old enough to like understand stuff, and understand that something's being offered and that you could possibly buy it and all you got to do is this to get it, then let's say your child is there, they can walk. They're not in a stroller, they can walk. They're not going to fall asleep in the middle of the day and they're active. So if your child is over the age of, what age is that? Let's say about age 5, you're spending $1,000. That's happening because now in Orlando, anybody who's been there in the last year, y'all tell me if they're still doing this. They got the little wristband. You put the wristband on, and the wristband is connected to your debit card or your credit card. So then to buy stuff, all you got to do is swipe the little wristband. You don't even have to pull your money up. You just swipe the little wristband, boom, $300, boom, $100, boom, $50, boom, $20. And by the end of the day, all right, at the end of the day, you go check the damage. That's what I heard they're doing. They're still doing that in Orlando. Anybody who's been there in the last 12 months, are they still doing it? Gemini said, we go to Disneyland every other year, spend about $150 to $200 a day. $150 to $200? How are you going to Disney and spending $200? How? It costs $200 just to get in. How are you spending $200 a day? Are you just walking around looking at the stuff and not doing anything? You're not eating? Marky Man said at least $1,000 a day for after 4 tickets. Yeah, 4 tickets. If you got kids, no, you're spending $1,000. Bill Green has said businesses are desperately working to price out certain groups of people who behave a certain way. Yes, there's just pricing out people, period. Yes, they're pricing out people based on behavior, Bill Greenidge. I know what you're saying. But they're also just pricing out people who don't have money. They're just pricing out people who don't have money, even if they're nice people, good people. They're pricing out people who don't have the money. And as an entrepreneur, again, I understand. As an entrepreneur, I get it. Most of the entrepreneurs I work with, I'm usually needing to show them and tell them you need to be charging more for what you're doing, and let's play a higher ticket game. But if I was advising a city or an organization that serves masses of people, I say we should serve these masses of people because they need somewhere to go. They need something to do. They have disposable income. We just got to figure out a way that we can make this work economically, make it work financially so that they get what they need and is not pricing them out. And we can serve them the way they need to be served without us losing our shirt and being in the red when it comes to our money. Now, this is where it becomes a problem economically because now the people who will work at a place like Disney, the people who will work at the buffet in Vegas, the people who would work at the valet or the like the baggage check at a Vegas hotel, the problem is the cost of living is so high that the amount of money that I pay the person who is selling the Mickey Mouse ice cream at Disney, the amount of money that I'm paying them is not enough for them to pay for their rent and their car insurance and their gas in their apartment. They can't make enough money with what I'm paying them. And if I pay them more money, that means I got to raise my prices. And if I raise my prices, I'm pricing out certain customers. So it becomes this whole catch-22 situation. So here is where Bernie Sanders can make some good points. All right, this is where Bernie Sanders can step in and actually say something that makes sense. When I heard him on Joe Rogan, he was alluding to these type of things. This is a catch-22. There's no perfect answer to this challenge. This is a serious question that does need to be answered. And one of these politicians who we voted in, they're supposed to be figuring this out. Aren't they supposed to be the smart people to figure these things out? So that's what I'm trying to, I just want to know what's the solution to this because there's no easy answer. So Nate said, I lived in North Vegas since 1998. Shout out to North Vegas. Vegas is a nice place. I heard the real estate in Vegas is actually is a good market real estate wise. I just don't like the dry air. So let's see. Bowling Lover said, go to Atlantic City for cheap gambling and expensive. Okay. Atlantic City used to be a place. When I was a child, I'm from Philadelphia. So I remember Atlantic City was a destination in the 90s. Atlantic City was a destination, but they completely lost it. Now, if somebody wants to go put some money into Atlantic City, they could probably take some of Vegas's market share. The problem is Atlantic City is in damn New Jersey and it gets cold in the wintertime. What you going to do in Atlantic City in the winter? They don't have the same infrastructure as Vegas as far as moving around. Nate said even the beggars are expensive in Vegas. They won't take $1. They need 20. I feel you. So I'm looking at the numbers people saying that they spend every day in Vegas. So Nice 61 said $500-600 for how many people? Supergirl said $100 and $200. How are you spending $200 in Disney in one day? How is that possible? You can't even get in with $200. Straight Facts and Notation said it's not 1,000 per person. It depends on who the person is. Now, I'm talking about people who come in with kids. Nate said pricing out the vandals in Vegas. Yeah, they're doing that. Straight Facts said I live in Orlando. And Alejandro said it's cheaper to go to Disney than Japan than the U.S. Disney in Japan. Oh, the Disney in Japan is cheaper than the one in America? Okay, I've never heard that one before. Gemini said, my price doesn't include tickets. We are a family of 5. I take daughters every other year. Okay, that's not including the tickets. Okay. Y'all got it planned out. You must have it mapped out and know exactly where to spend money at. Straight Facts Notation say you're not spending $1,000 per day at Disney. I have heard from a very reliable source that it was $1,000 a day at Disney. That's what I've heard. And a few other people in here have said it. I think it depends on how many kids and the age of your kids. If your kids are a certain age, if your kids are like between the ages of 5 and 12, they're going to ask for every single thing that they see. I just took my son to a monster truck. They got this thing called Monster Jam. You ever heard of this Monster Jam? I never heard of this shit. But he wanted to go to this. Well, he didn't want to go. He's into these monster trucks. My wife shows me the event. It was happening in South Florida. I take him to the Monster Jam event. And, of course, he sees something. He wants it. He sees other kids got it. He wants it. That's the way it works. That's the business y'all should be in. Y'all want it. Any of y'all trying to figure out what business to get in, get into the business of selling stuff to kids. All you got to do is have an event where a bunch of kids come with their parents. They got to come with their parents. And then you get them some kind of tchotchkes that they have in their hands, that the kids all have it. And then when your kid or when somebody's kid sees the other kid has the thing, then they want the thing. And then you feel like a jerk if you don't buy it. And now you're guilted into going and buying this thing for $50. It was exactly what happened to me. I went and bought my son one of these monster trucks, these little toy monster trucks for $50. And the only reason he wanted the truck because he saw a bunch of other kids had the truck. All right, that's the business you want to get in. Now, y'all want a business idea? There's one for you right there. And then all you got to do is just get more stuff that the kid might want or that the kid might ask for, and you strategically place it all around the venue where the thing is where the event is happening, and you just have them everywhere. Every 20 feet, there should be somewhere that you can spend money. Disney has mastered this. This is how Disney makes so much money. The reason Disney is able to pull so much money out of the wallets of everyday people every day is because they have strategically and systematically figured out how do we position things that will extract money from our customer and position them all around the park all day, so that when you walk around the park all day, you have no choice but to buy stuff. And we're going to make it as easy as possible for you to give us your money. Speaking of the Monster Jam, I'm at the Monster Jam event the other day, right? My son's like, I want this truck. So I'm going to buy him the truck. I go over there to buy the truck. I pull out my phone to do the Apple Pay. She's like, we don't take tap. We only take card. I'm like, mofo, you damn idiots. And it wasn't her. She was just a worker. But you idiots. Y'all have an event with 1,000 or whatever number of people here, and y'all don't take tap. So you're making it harder to get money from me. And here's the thing. My cards are all in the car. And when you go into one of these venues, you're not allowed to leave and come back. And once you leave, you got to stay out. You can't come back in. There's no re-entry. But I go to the front and I ask the security. They say, yeah, you can. They let me leave and come back. But what if I didn't have my cards with me? Or if I left them at home, I only had my phone. Now I can't buy the truck. My son's going to be upset. And y'all missed out on making $50 off me. Always make it as easy as possible to get money out of people. So Disney, what they did is now they got the wristband. Now you just swipe the wristband and it's connected to your money, and they just take the money straight out of your account. So let's see. User said, family of 4, 1 week, Disney and Universal Studios, $5,000. Yeah, I believe that. That sounds about right. Let's see. Where was I? I'm trying to see all the stuff that's in these comments here. So Supergirl said, we bought tickets in advance, didn't pay for a car. The only thing I paid for was food and souvenirs. I think it's smart. If you go to Orlando, probably don't pay for a car. So I'm in Miami. So I go to Orlando. What we would do, we would probably take the Bright Line. There's this train called the Bright Line. You could take it from Miami to Orlando. It's like a high-speed train. Take that to Orlando. We take an Uber to the resort, wherever we're going to stay, and then we'll just Uber to the park. Because if you park the car, they taxing you for that. They're taxing you. You got to pay for the gas. They already tax. As soon as you get a car, they start taxing you. So anywhere you travel, if you don't need a car, don't get one. You go to Vegas, there's no reason to rent a car. Just Uber everywhere. Most places, you don't need a car. Manhattan, you don't need a car. Just New York, you don't need a car. Miami, you don't really need a car in Miami. You stay in South Beach, you don't need a car. I suggest Ubering everywhere. The amount of money you spend on Ubers is less than you'll spend for the car. Just parking the car, they're going to tax you. Mr. Ohio said, depends on the stuff you do. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing up the kids, because the kids will have you doing everything. And you got to pay for that shit. Sherry says, sounds like some are not including ticket prices. Okay, yeah, I'm asking about the tickets too. The tickets cost money, folks. Don't leave out the ticket price. Now, you have to pay for that ticket. Coconut said, used to take money to Gaylord Palms every year, and they think that was Disney Xmas. Gaylord Palms where? Which one? In Orlando? They got more than one Gaylords. Traditional said tickets for 3 is $1,000. Yeah. King said you don't belong in Vegas if you don't have money. But it depends on what you're doing in Vegas, King. You're talking like adult Vegas. If you're talking adult Vegas, I get what you're saying. Because adult Vegas, what are you going to do? You're going to gamble, you're going to drink, you're going to go to clubs, and you're going to go to shows. Those all cost money. But first of all, you can buy those tickets in advance. You don't have to spend money gambling. You don't have to go to nightclubs. You're talking about like young person here named King. I'm assuming you sound like a male. Sound like a young male or young woman who's single. Yes, it's a money game. But family-wise, Vegas is not supposed to be, or it hasn't traditionally been a place where you needed a ton of money to participate. But that's the problem. That's the thing. Kinky Afro said, this man describing issues of capitalism. I know I'm describing the issue of capitalism. I've been talking about this a lot of times. This may be your first time here. Beton Rouge says, cut the line fees and upgrades. No, they need those because that allows them to extract more money from you. That's part of the business. And that's the whole thing. And if you don't pay the fee to get to the front of the line, now you stand in line for an hour to get on a ride. Now an hour went by, but the good thing is if you're a parent trying to watch your money, well, you just saved yourself a lot of time having to spend money because you was just standing in line. So there's a give and take with all this. Supergirl said the food wasn't expensive. Actually, the most I spent was drinking. LOL. Okay. Kinky said the answer is socialism, taking care of people instead of profits. I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know if you're being sarcastic. DM said hiking and the beach is far cheaper. Yes, it is. I agree. Anything you go where there's a structure, like a physical structure, you're going to be spending money. If you go to a place where you can enjoy yourself with just the natural elements, like South Beach, you don't have to spend money. You can spend a whole day in South Beach and not really spend much money. You can spend a whole day in South Beach for $50. You can eat some food for two people. It might not cost you that much. Don't eat at the restaurants on Ocean Drive. Those are all garbage restaurants. Anybody who lives here knows better. That's for tourists. You can go eat somewhere and get pretty good food without getting taxed crazy. Well, maybe not $50, maybe 75 if you or your companion likes to drink. The drinks is where they make all the money, by the way. Restaurants make all their money off alcohol, so they don't like people like me because I don't drink. And what else? Yeah, South Beach, you can walk around. If you like to exercise, you can run, you can jog, you can lay on the beach, you can lift weights. They got the little Muscle Beach version in South Beach. You play volleyball, you can lay on the sand, you can just look around at the girls and the guys. You don't have to spend money. Now, Vegas, you got to spend money because nothing to do outside. Yeah, Atlantic City in the 90s was the place. Atlantic City used to be a destination, but not anymore. Happy Kitty said Atlantic City doesn't even have a movie theater. But who goes on vacation to watch movies? I don't. Michael Franklin said, 25 years ago, took 3 children, 2 nieces and nephews. I spent so much money I tried to forget. To where? Where are we talking, Michael? You talking Vegas or you talking Disney? I'm assuming you're talking Disney. If you said 3 children, 2 nieces and nephews, that's 5 kids. Oh, yeah, they got you. They got all your money, Michael. If you're talking Vegas, Art Decor said $100 an hour. That sounds about right. Mr. Ohio said, people that saying they spend $1K a day must don't know how to book trips. Okay, fair enough. I think a lot of it depends on the age of your kids. And it also depends on how you're parenting your kids. Some kids are conditioned to just ask for everything they see and they expect to get it. And then some kids are conditioned, like the way I was raised, if I went somewhere with my parents, we knew. I have one sister. We knew, don't be asking for everything that you see because my parents would get mad. So my parents said things like, "Dog, look like I'm made of money. Money doesn't grow on trees. We're not rich." I come from a background where that's what kind of things my parents would say. So my parents were they taught us before we even got there. Don't be asking for shit when we get there. But a lot of parents who I know these days, people in my generation who have kids, they don't tell their kids that. And they will spend basically anytime the kid asks for something, either the mom or the dad, one of them is going to pretty much buy everything the kid asks for. So it's a different era. Mr. Ohio J says, sometimes you got to tell your kids no. Technically true, but it depends. The mom and dad got to be on the same page. And sometimes I see that ain't the case. Marcus said a lot of people pack their lunch. Mexicans pack burritos. Okay, that's a good idea. Packing your lunch is a good idea. The thing is, you got to carry that shit around. I don't want to have to carry stuff. I like going places with nothing in my hands. So Happy said, kids and pets, great markets. Yeah, you mean for getting money out of people? Absolutely. Jenna said, Disney is a shop after every ride, and bright toys and the hoodies are always right after wet, cold area. Yes, that's another thing they do in Disney. And Disney, and there's this guy named Dan Kennedy. I've been in a lot of his courses and trainings. He talks about, he studies Disney. He literally studies it as a business. And one of the things that he said is that in Disney, every time you get off the ride, you have to walk through a shop to get out back to the rest of the park. Every ride, when you get off, the only way out is you got to walk through the souvenir shop that is based on the ride that you were just on. So again, Disney has mastered this. So if y'all want to you want a case study and in a tutorial, not a tutorial, but a real world experience of an organization who has mastered extracting money from their customers, go to Vegas. And Dan Kennedy says this, so I'll give him credit for it. Go to Vegas without kids and just pay attention to how they get money out of you. Pay attention to how they try to get money out of you. And you'll notice all the things they don't let an inch of space go by without monetizing it. They monetize every single thing, and even got the rain things. So I think that's what you were referring to here, Jenna, is that in Disney, because it's in Orlando, so it rains. It rains in South Florida. You get these quick 15-minute storms. When it rains, they bring out the Disney, the little plastic ponchos that you wear when it's raining. They sell those to you. They'll sell that to you, and they have them ready. Anytime they know it's going to rain, they get them ready. So when it starts raining, they pull those out and they sell those to you so you can walk through the rain. This is all the game. And if, let's say you don't want to walk through the rain, you just want to wait, you just want to chill in the shop until the rain stops. Okay, you try chilling in a souvenir shop with an 8-year-old until the rain stops. All right, you better off paying for the poncho. All right, you see the game? This is the hustle. This is great business. So Disney does a great job of taking money out of your pocket. That's what they're supposed to do, by the way. Nate Cleaning said, I started a cleaning business because I knew illegals wouldn't last. Okay, well, I think whenever you started, it's good timing. Carla said, Uber is the way to go in most places. As long as you're in a place where everything's close by. Now, if you're in a place where it's big spaces in between stuff, then you might want to get a car. Uber miles start adding up when you start getting on highways and stuff. But if you're in a place that's everything's close by, like Miami to Miami Beach, things are pretty close by. I suggest you just Uber. Don't rent a car if you come to Miami. It's a bad idea. Mr. Ohio J said, when I'm asked when they have shuttles from the hotel to the park. Okay, that makes sense. They should. Please keep liking alive. Yes, thank you, Traditional, for telling everybody. Jenna said, Vegas has free trams across each side of the strip, so stay on the side you want to travel. Yeah, I saw that. Last time I was in Vegas, I was on one of those trams. Not last time, like 3 visits ago. I was speaking at a conference, but the hotel was at, I think it's the Vegas Convention Center. I've been to the convention center in Vegas. Is a little bit off the strip, and there's a hotel right next to it. They put me in that hotel, and then I took the tram over to the strip. This is like 2021, maybe 22. And Vegas was jumping again already by that point. It was packed outside. Gaylord Orlando, okay, during holidays. Now, Coconut Telegraph, I stayed at the Gaylord Orlando at a business conference, maybe 2021 or 22. I hated that hotel. Now, let me tell you why I hated it. I hated the hotel because the food options were horrible. There was nowhere to get food. And when you stay at a resort, the resort is so far away from any other form of civilization, you have no choice but to get the food there, or you call like Uber Eats. I don't like calling Uber Eats. I don't like getting food delivered because they take too long. They charge you extra, and by the time the food gets to you, it's not even fresh anymore. So I had to try to eat food at the resort, and the food there was terrible. I didn't like any of the food. And it was like 5,000 people there because we're all at a conference. So every time it was time to go eat, you got 5,000 people trying to go get food at like 4 restaurants, and I didn't like any of the restaurants. So I didn't like the Gaylord Orlando. I have a bad taste in my mouth, pause, from staying at the Gaylord. I will never stay at that hotel after that. Mr. Ohio J said, we booked the hotel to give us skip the line passes. Okay, fair enough. Jenna said, with tickets for a week, we did a tour, bought merch, so definitely absurd. Oh, yeah, they get you. You don't go to Disney to be cheap. Supergirl said, I did a 3-day ticket for $300, less than $300. Also, the time you go matters. Oh, yeah, that matters too. Good point. If you go at Christmas time, they might get you. Tony said, online gambling. Yeah. So, well, Heck said, please tell your kids no sometimes. Yes. I'll get better at that. I haven't taken my kid to Disney yet, but I don't have a problem saying no. Jenna said, it was brilliant. They add smells too in areas. Just ride Soarin' and realize how real smell is. What's Soarin'? I never heard of that. Jenna said $15 ponchos after every water ride too. Oh, they sell it to you after the water rides. Okay. Man of Steel says zoos and museums have followed Disney's lead with having to go through the gift shop to exit. It's a great idea. It's a great business idea. Is that make people walk through the gift shop every time they want to move from one part of the park to another. People are naturally just going to buy stuff because they keep seeing it. Nate said many seniors and wealthy people live in Vegas. Good for my cleaning business. That's a good idea. Someone said, can you tell how you make Minneapolis better? What are you talking about? All right, I didn't even get through all my points. Let me finish my points here. So what's happening here? So I told y'all the actual problem here. The crux of this problem is that Vegas, just like a place like Orlando, but let's stick to Vegas because that's the topic here today. They are generally raising their prices and they're going more high ticket with the way they operate. The problem with going high ticket is that you're pricing out the everyday person, and the everyday person makes up the masses of people. So the bulk of people that would go to Vegas, those people are going to start going to Vegas less, theoretically, if they keep up this current pace, what we're currently seeing in Vegas. The problem with that is now you'll have fewer people and more money. Great. The problem is, what are you going to do with all those empty hotels? First of all, those hotels are going to have problems because you got all these hotels on the strip in Vegas. And if you don't have the masses coming to Vegas, what are you going to do with those hotels? They can't even charge higher prices because there's no demand. So they're basically going to be giving their hotel rooms away. And a lot of them are nice hotels. Then people are going to start making demands on, well, we're not paying that resort fee. Then all it's going to take is one hotel on the strip to stop charging the resort fee. they're going to start getting all the customers, right? Let's just play this out. Let's say the Cosmo says, we're no longer going to charge a resort fee. So now they're going to start getting more customers because they're not charging no resort fee. They'll just advertise it, no resort fee. Then all the other hotels are going to say, okay, well, we won't charge the resort fee anymore. They probably already collude to not do that, but let's just assume that it happens. Now, they stop charging the resort fee. So that's $50 less per day, per room at all these hotels. That's a lot less money. Now, what does that mean? Now we can't pay our staff as much, and or we have to cut staff. So now they got to cut back on the service even more. Now the amenities get worse. Now the entire experience gets worse. And this becomes a bigger and bigger problem. And when they have the big events, they're good. But the big events are so few and far between it becomes this episodic money-making situation that it's no longer a cash machine that's printing money all the time, the way Vegas has traditionally been known to be. Because what they're saying is that revenue in Vegas is down. That's really where this came from. The revenue in Vegas has been down. The overall money is down, which means jobs get cut. The lowest level workers get fired first. Those are the ones who most need the money. They get fired first. Then the amenities start to get worse. Then the hotels start to fall apart. And then people stop coming. And now it just becomes this cycle of a negative activity that happens in Vegas. And somebody, again, one of these politicians that we elected, aren't they supposed to be solving this? Isn't that what we vote for them for? Aren't they the geniuses supposed to be figuring this stuff out? Who's talking about this? Who's championing making sure that the everyday person can still have a good time when they go out and do stuff? Who's the person responsible for this? I hear a lot of politicians making a lot of noise about Donald Trump and what he's allegedly doing. I don't hear any of them talking about how do we make sure that the everyday person can still enjoy their life and go on vacation once a year? Who's that? Is that Bernie? Is that AOC? Who is it? Can somebody give me a name? Who's the person that is responsible for this? Jenna said, when we went, low ticket prices happened, shootings on the strip and problems, so they upped the price. Okay, fair enough. Michelle, good morning. Jenna said they changed to in Vegas 3-hour parking fee for free, no longer a thing. Oh, so they start taxing you for everything. Makes sense. Well, that's what they do. They're going to start charging for everything. This is where it's going, folks. And I told you all this. Did I say this yesterday? I think I said it yesterday. Knowing that this is the direction that things are going. Right now, the way everything is going is that economies and industries and businesses are tilting more towards who's willing to spend more money. That's where everything is going. Whoever has the money, they get to get whatever they want. And people who don't have money, well, hey, tough luck. That's where it's going right now. Those who have money, welcome. Please give us your money and we'll give you a great experience. And those of you who don't have money, sorry, this ain't for you. So they're basically pricing out people who don't have money. People who don't have money are getting priced out of life in general. If you don't have money, you won't be able to, a lot of people talking about not being able to pay their bills, keep up their insurance, get their kids childcare, to have a good place to live, to have a car, maybe even to have a job. And they're pricing these people out. It's going to become this line. It's going to become this line of delineation of the people who got it and the people who don't have it. This is going to become a real thing. And I told y'all this many times. I did 3 hours on this last September. There will be no middle class. There will not be a middle class, everybody. What is currently considered the middle class, so let's say we got 3 groups. You got the lower class, you got the middle class, you got the upper class. Upper class up here, middle class here, lower class here. What's happening is the line is being erased between the lower and the middle, and it's just going to be one line. It's going to be one line. Upper is above the line, and everybody below it is going to be the lower class. And if you're in the lower class, you won't be able to pay for a lot of things. You're going to be dependent on the government, which is a place you don't want to be in for things. You won't be able to enjoy yourself or go on vacation because it all costs too much money. You may not get the kind of job you want to get, because if you could, then you'd be in the upper class because they'd be paying you to what you want to pay to do the kind of work that you want to do. So you're going to have to take whatever they give you. There may not even be a job for you, which might land you on something like government assistance, another place that you want to be. It may not be a job for you because no one wants to hire you because AI has replaced the kind of job you used to do. So my solution to all of this, if anybody wants to know my solution to this, is you must skill up. You must step your skill set up, your game up. Learn how to leverage artificial intelligence in your industry, whatever it is that you do. Artificial intelligence is affecting everything. It's not going away. So learn how to leverage it and make yourself more valuable in what you do so that you can command more money, higher prices, higher salaries, higher wages, whatever it is in your industry, so that you can get above this line. Now, generally, is this going to screw a whole lot of people over? The answer is yes, it is. That's absolutely going to happen. A lot of people are going to get screwed over in the next 10 years through what is ostensibly no fault of their own, but it actually is their fault because they're not heeding the advice that I'm sharing with you right here. This stuff I've been talking about for a long time. Before AI, I've been talking about this stuff. Before AI was a news item, let's say, I've been talking about this stuff. Is that you have to step your skill up because the cost of life is always increasing. Even if we didn't have AI, the cost of life is always going up. The cost of insurance goes up. The cost to go to the movies goes up. The cost of a car goes up. The cost of childcare, cost of groceries, the cost of eggs, everything's always going up. This was happening before AI came to be. So you must always be increasing your value in the marketplace. The marketplace is just the people who are willing to give you money. Your value must always continue to go up such that as the costs go up, you're keeping up with it so that you can keep living the way that you want to live. You can live the lifestyle you want to live because you have enough money to pay for it. Because it costs more money now than it cost 10 to 20 years ago. The amount of money you make now, you didn't need that much 10 years ago or 20 years ago to live the way you live. 10 years from now, 2035, the amount of money you make, the amount of money you spend now to live your lifestyle is going to be higher. You're going to need to spend more money. So whatever amount you got to spend now to live the way that you live, in 2035, you will need to spend more money to live the exact same way. That's not changing. And in 2045, it'll be higher. It's 55, 60. Every year is going to get higher. The cost of living is going to keep increasing. The only way this is not going to happen, only way this doesn't happen is if we have complete anarchy in the United States. And I mean a complete upending of our entire system. And that's going to require blood and death. I don't think most of you want that. So either if you expect the blood and death to happen, then you Second Amendment yourself up, number one. And number two, also at the same time, make sure that you're stepping your skills up, stepping your sales ability up so that you can provide more value in the marketplace so that you can command more money. And now you are financially in a place where you can handle whatever comes up. And if you don't want to Second Amendment yourself up, you can pay somebody who does and let them do it for you. Or you can have enough money to move yourself into a place where you don't need that because there's a big gate around your community and nobody can get in. Or you can move yourself to a neighborhood where that kind of stuff doesn't happen. All right, one of the three or one of the four. You got to do something. You can't just sit there and watch this happen. So I remember I was at the pool the other day with my son, and I'm 6'4", and my son was like, "Can we walk around the pool?" So I was like, "All right, we're walking around the pool." So I'm carrying him. We're walking around the pool, and the deepest part of this particular pool is 6 feet deep. And I don't know if maybe I'm not really 6'4". I actually am, but I don't think they measured it properly because when I got to the 6 foot part, the deepest part where it's 6 foot, I was like walking on my toes, and the water was like up to my ears. Well, technically, maybe I just got a big head. Maybe that's what it is, an extra 4 inches. But the water was coming up like damn near to my nose. And that's what's happening to people as the prices of life keep going up, is that water level is just getting higher and higher to the point that you can't breathe anymore. What you going to do? And what I'm telling you is that you got to step your skill up. Don't hope that the economy changes. It might change, but don't bet on that. That's not what you want to bet on. You want to bet on the world changing in your favor. You want to bet on you being ready to deal with whatever the world is, even if it's not ideal. So gambling, let me finish with these points that I was making. I interrupted to talk about, we were talking about Vegas and Orlando. But gambling used to be the core money maker of Vegas. That's where they used to make most of their money, from people coming in gambling. And anytime you get people to gamble, you know you're going to make money, because who wins in gambling? Everybody loses in gambling, but people have fun losing. The beauty of a casino is that you get people to be happy that they lost a whole bunch of money on a game that they really were not set up to win in the first place. That's a beautiful idea. So whoever came up with the idea of a casino is a genius. So people are happy to lose money to you, and they knew they were going to lose money, and they're happy that they lost it. So that used to be the core money maker. Now gambling is second to things like ticket sales, sponsorship deals, and vendor deals. In other words, again, it's not about the everyday person anymore. Vegas is saying, how about we just deal with these 30 people and make all this money instead of dealing with 3,000 people and make a little bit less money? Why deal with these 3,000 people? And they're just saying, well, screw the peasants. That's what they're saying. All right, we don't need the money from you peasants who are coming here with your $1,000 to gamble at the blackjack table, at the $5 a bet blackjack table. We don't need your money. We're going to go get this $5 million deal from this sponsorship or from this corporate company. We rather just take their $5 million and take your $300. They're not saying it in so many words, but this is what their actions are saying. So you got a choice. So when the fun is gone and Vegas is no longer fun, and this is what people are saying about Vegas, that the fun is going down slowly. When people can't have fun in Vegas anymore, they start spending money. And people are not going to pay premium prices for a stripped down, no pun intended, a stripped down Vegas experience. So some tourists are saying that Vegas now feels like Los Angeles. That's what I've heard some people say. I don't spend a lot of time in LA. I'm not a big fan of California's weather. It gets a little bit too cold at night. It's nice in the daytime, not hot enough, and then it's too cold at night. So I'm not a California person. Though I got some friends in California. Shout out to California. But they say in Vegas, there's more drugs, more homelessness, less safety, and less overall charm. That's what people are saying about Vegas. Now, again, last time I was there, I didn't spend a lot of time outside because it was February. I got to go there in the summer and see if this is what my experience is. So I can't verify this yet. So the average person, allegedly, doesn't feel safe, welcomed, or respected in Vegas anymore. And again, we talked about that already. That if you're in the hospitality industry, and by the way, in case any of you don't understand it, I've said this, I haven't said it in so many words. Let me say it directly. Las Vegas is a hospitality city. That's what it is. Vegas is about hospitality. That's what they're selling. What is hospitality? Hospitality is about the experience. It's not about the stuff. It's about the experience, and the experience that is being given to you by people. It's an experience given to you and facilitated by people. That's what Vegas is. It's a little bit different from Miami. Miami's hospitality too, but Miami is there's a lot of do it yourself you can do in Miami because it's outdoors. You can walk around, play on the beach. Vegas doesn't have a beach. Vegas is all indoors in the buildings, and it's a beautiful experience to be in the buildings and see all the lights, and you're looking around like it's like Times Square. That's Vegas. That's a hospitality experience. They're turning into, instead of being a hospitality experience, they're turning into a corporate experience. And those are two different things. And when that happens, nobody's going to show up in Vegas. The everyday person is not coming to Vegas with their money. Now, again, where are they going to go? Orlando gets more money out of you than Vegas. Vegas ain't the place you want to go. Where's everybody going? I don't know. I don't have an answer to this question. Where's everybody going? Somebody answer this question. In the United States of America, I'm not talking overseas. Let's assume people don't have passports. Most people don't have passports. So in the lower 48 states, so we're not talking Hawaii, we're not talking Alaska. Where in America are people going to go if they're no longer going to Vegas? We know Orlando costs more than Vegas. So it's not Orlando, it's not Vegas. Where are they going? Where's everybody going? Give me some answers here, folks. Where's everybody going? And I'm assuming some of you may say a place like Miami. Miami costs. Miami is not cheap. Even if you're going to go to the beach, where are you going to stay? At one of the hotels? Miami is not Vegas in that you go to Miami Beach. It's not a ton of high rises. There are no 50-story buildings in Miami Beach. It's zoned that way. You can't build a 50-story high rise in Miami Beach. Not in South Beach, at least. From 23rd Street on down, you don't see these super big towers. There's a couple of them, but it ain't that many. They're boutique hotels in South Beach. Where are you going to stay? They can't fit all those people. So where's everybody going? If we're not going to Vegas anymore, we're not going to Orlando, where are we going? Chelsea said, I need to touch grass, so Oregon coast sounds nice. All right, Nashville, Oklahoma. Tony said, you don't have to fly to Vegas anymore to gamble. Fair enough, but here's the thing, Tony. The point of gambling in Vegas is not the actual gambling. It's the experience of sitting at the table and losing your money knowing that you were going to lose it. That's the reason why you gamble in Vegas. You don't gamble in Vegas because you're like a serious gambler or like you're actually trying to win money. You go to Vegas to have the fun of losing your money. It's the experience. That's the hospitality of it. Eminem said Puerto Rico, lower 48 states. Puerto Rico's not in the lower 48. Philmon said to the living room. Yeah, that's where everybody's going. That's what's about to happen, everybody. I mean, I know you're kind of, I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but really what's about to happen is people ain't going nowhere. And that's what's happening. Nobody's going anywhere. So people are just going to stay in their houses, not go outside. There's going to be less engagement between human beings, and the humanity is going to lessen. That's what I think is going to happen. Marky Man said NASCAR races. Marky, I ain't going to no NASCAR race. That's not happening. John said North Carolina. Where in North Carolina? What are we going to do? But Heck said, come to Michigan. It's gorgeous. I've been to Michigan and it was snowing. So I don't know what you consider to be gorgeous. Chrissy Chris said home. Yeah, that's where everybody's going. Everybody's going to their house. You're going from the living room to the kitchen to the bedroom. That's where everybody's going. Ain't nobody going nowhere. Renee said North Carolina, South Carolina beaches. I've heard good things about them. Ricardo said cruises. Okay, cruises is a good one. Carolyn said Netflix and chill. Yeah, pretty much. Bruce said Yellowstone. Bruce, I'm from Philadelphia, PA. All right, nobody where I'm from is planning a trip to Yellowstone. Shout out to Yellowstone, but no, not where I come from. Jay Smile said, go to the mountains and enjoy nature. All right, same answer that I just gave. All right, where I come from, ain't nobody planning a trip to the mountains. All right, we look at the mountains on TV. Richard Dominguez said national parks. Again, same answer. Coconut Telegraph said Hard Rock Hollywood. Hollywood, California? I'm not sure about that. Jenna said, I want places to go visit. I live in Vegas. Oh, you live in Vegas? All right, then you can go to Miami, as long as you don't mind the cost. Chelsea said that could be a move. Build a place to go unplug, like adult summer camp. Well, yeah, there's a niche audience for that. There's a niche audience for some of these things that y'all are saying. Coconut Telegraph said Bahamas. I'm talking lower 48 states without leaving the contiguous 48. Mr. Ohio said Pigeon Forge. What is that? Missy Q said Nashville. So a few of you said Nashville. What's anybody going to do in Nashville? Nashville is the country music capital of the world, right? Again, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've never heard anybody say I'm going on a trip to Nashville. I'm not saying that they're not people, and they're probably more country music fans than there are people from places like where I'm from. But Nashville, I'm talking for the masses of people. The thing is, Nashville is a niche market. There's a niche for Nashville. Sonoma said Tahoe. Again, a lot of y'all giving the same answer that I got the same response to. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I never heard anybody say that they were going to Tahoe or Nashville or a national park or Yellowstone or what was the other one? The coast of Oregon. I've never heard anybody say that. I'm not saying it's not a thing, but I don't know. Going fishing? No, these are niche. Y'all got these niche audiences. But heck says snow is gorgeous in our lakes. I'll take your word for it, but heck, I'm not going anywhere where there's snow on purpose. If I go somewhere that is snowing, somebody's paying me or somebody died. One of the two. Tony said Nashville is booming. I've heard Nashville is booming, but what is there to do in Nashville? Let's say I go visit Nashville. What am I going to do? A bunch of you said Nashville. What do I do in Nashville? Jason said you save more money that way. What, staying in the house? Yeah, you're right. Outer Banks, North Carolina. Okay. Virtual reality. Actually, Perry you with a good answer here. That's the next thing. I say the next 10 years. That's the next thing. Is that y'all going to be going on vacation with the Google glasses on. You know those, they had them. Where was I at? Was it an Apple store? I can't remember where I was. Is it the Apple store? What's the thing that Apple has now with those big lenses that you put on your face? What's that thing called? Whatever those are called. That's the next wave. Is y'all going to be going on vacation without leaving your house. You're going to be sitting on the couch and it's going to be you. It's going to be husband, wife, my daughter, son, and a dog sitting there with the glasses on your face, and y'all all going to be going on vacation, quote unquote vacation, to a place that doesn't even exist, and y'all going to pay for that. Somebody's going to charge y'all to sit there and do that. That's the next thing. And that's sad, actually. It's good for the people selling it, but it's sad for humanity. Jay Smile said the mountains in the wintertime. Yeah, right. Chrissy says Cincinnati. Hell no, I ain't going to Cincinnati, and I'm black. I ain't going to Cincinnati. Jenny said Miami is cheaper than Orlando. Well, Orlando, if you're going to Disney with kids, yes, hell yeah. Anywhere in America is cheaper than Orlando if you got kids. Because in Miami is for adults. Miami is more of an adult town. You don't go to Miami like, hey, I'm taking my kids to Miami. A lot of things, what are you going to do? Miami has some stuff. Miami has two nice museums. They got the art museum, which is called the, is it Perez? I think it's Perez Art Museum of Miami, also known as PAM. And then you had a science museum. They're right next to each other. So the art museum and the science museum, great places to take your kids. I think there's a children's museum somewhere in this town in Miami. The good thing about Miami is that we got beautiful weather. So you can be outside. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just be outside and chill. Marky said nudist camps and niche. That's a niche audience. Jenna said girl trips to Nashville is a thing if you like country. Yes. Now, see, if I was a guy who liked country, knowing what you just said, that'd be a great thing for me to do. Now, see, I'm not a country music guy, so I don't think I would fit in. But that's a good tip for any man who likes country music. There are girls who take girls trips to Nashville, then men who are into country music go to Nashville. They probably already know that, though. They didn't need to hear that from me. Carla said Grand Canyon, Niagara Falls. I don't know about that one. Richard said Cherokee Casino in North Carolina. We used to say all these people grow up on computers and airplanes. Sad that no one takes driving trips anymore. Yeah, that did used to be a thing. Jay Smile said the jazz culture. In what town? Where are you talking about? The ginger girl said Vegas is hot and played out. Well, I mean, that's kind of what we've been talking about here. Jenna said, maybe why don't they go bar hop and drink in Nashville and listen to music? Well, what kind of music we talking, Jenna? I don't know how much country music I can listen to in one day. Mr. Ohio said Pigeon Forge is in Tennessee is a nice getaway. Okay. I think the next thing is virtual reality. Yeah, the Oculus. Chrissy just said it, the Oculus. Y'all see that? Y'all go in the Apple store, they got the thing with the lenses, and you got to ask somebody to let you see it, and you sit on the couch, and they just sit there, and everybody's just sitting there like this, and they're staring into this lens. That's sad for humanity. It's good for Apple because people are going to go buy that shit, but personally, I like being outside. And when I say outside, I don't mean outside like in the sun. I mean outside meaning where there are human beings. I like to engage with human beings. I don't want to be sitting somewhere with some fucking glasses on my head and I don't even know, and I'm looking into a virtual reality world. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't see myself being a customer of that. I want to deal with actual human beings. So Jenna said virtual computer. Yeah, see, that's where it's going. And I think that's sad. So Patsy said Charleston, South Carolina. So a few of you are voting South and North Carolina are getting a lot of votes. John has said from Philly, you're probably going to New Jersey Shore or New England. No, I'm not going to either one. I live in Miami for a reason. I came here purposely. So no, I'm not going to neither of those places that you just said. Jersey Shore. No, I'm not going to the Jersey Shore. Jenna said Oculus is Facebook or Meta now, which is popular under the kids. So Oculus is Facebook. What's the thing that Apple is selling that's the virtual intelligence headphones? What's those things? Not headphones, but like the thing that you put over your face. What's the name of that thing? Y'all know what I'm talking about? What's the name of the device that Apple has in their Apple stores now that's like a virtual reality headset that you put over your face? I saw it in the store last time I was in there. Is it Quest? Toker 23 mil said Quest. Is that what it is? Now I see Metaverse, Oculus. All right, let's see. So, all right, so none of y'all got it right. It's called the Apple Vision Pro. All right, that's what it's called, the Apple Vision Pro. Y'all haven't seen this? You're going to Apple Store. It's called the Apple Vision Pro, and they have it sitting there, but you got to ask one of the workers to let you see it. You can't just put it on. The workers show you how to do it. Is marketed not as virtual reality. Okay, so it's not a VR headset. It's a spatial computer is what they call it. It's a standalone device that blends digital content seamlessly with your physical environment using a combination of eye, hand, and voice output. It uses dual micro OLED displays, basically a higher resolution than a 4K TV, spatial audio, plus M2 and R1 custom chips to deliver highly immersive visuals and real-time interactions. So this just came out February of last year, and you can book an online demo or an in-store demo to try it out. So it's displayed on a dedicated demo table so you can experience Vision OS interface, gestures, and environments firsthand. Right now, it costs $3,400. It costs $3,499. So early users like its premium build. It has sharp visuals. It's about a pound in weight. It weighs about 1 pound. It can be uncomfortable if you wear it for too long. Some are saying. And they're calling it Vision Pro. They're not calling it VR. So it is not virtual reality. So they're calling it specifically Vision Pro. So they're separating themselves from virtual reality. There's a marketing lesson you can get from that. Even though that's cool for Apple, I'm not a fan of this for humanity. I want humanity moving into we're all just sitting there looking at. So MJM over on YouTube got it right. The Apple Vision. See, I'm not a fan of humans sitting looking at screens or anything that is manufactured as a proxy for actual real life human interaction. I like dealing with actual human beings, not just virtual reality shit. But this looks like this is where it's going. So Siesta Beach, Sherry said, it's a beautiful and fun little downtown area. Never needed a car the entire week. Siesta Beach, where is that? Where's Siesta Beach? So Jenna said they even give you glasses, lenses, so you don't have to wear them. Yeah, I'm not messing with that. Jason said everyone needs to go on a hike every now and then. As a matter of fact, speaking of Nashville, there's a person I know, or a person I knew. I don't know them anymore. But years ago, I was in Nashville with this person, and she was like, let's go on a hike. And it wasn't a crazy hike. There was a height, but it was like some mountainous, and don't ask me where it was. It was some mountainous thing that we walked up. And it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like crazy steep. You just walked around, and before you knew it, you were at a certain height. Then you had to come back down. It was fine. It was fine. I didn't do it because I wanted to go on a hike. But I think that's the only time in my life I've been on a hike. Sherry says South Florida on the Gulf Coast. Okay, so the west side of Florida. All right, now see, I'm more of an east side guy, Cheryl. Cherry. I'm more of an East Side guy. I'm from the East Coast. I still live on the East Side. I'm an East Side type of individual. West Side of Florida is cool. Actually, no. I got to correct myself. I did live in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is nice. I'm a city guy. I'm not a country hiking mountains, lakes. I'm not into this stuff. I'm a city guy. I like concrete jungles, high-rise buildings, taxis, traffic, crowded places. I actually like those kind of places. Not too crowded, but I like places where there's a lot of humans milling about. That's the kind of stuff that I like. So Heck said, why did I do it? Heck, why do you think I did it? What's your best guess? That wasn't the main reason I was there either. That was just something that we did. But that wasn't the main reason I was there. So let me see if I can get back to the rest of my points. So let's see. If a city built on enjoyment and escape is struggling, again, that's Vegas. What does that say about how Americans are feeling about spending money at all? That's the bigger point. All right, that's the bigger point right there. All right, the bigger point right there is people can't escape anymore. What are they doing? So, heck yeah, so all y'all pretty much got it right. Jason said getting lucky. Jason, there was no luck involved. Everybody knew exactly what was going to happen before I got there. And we'll leave it at that. So. And someone said, Mr. Ohio J said he did it for a lady. Yeah, would you think I was hiking with a man? No. Yeah, so I will say it was a girl. And that's just all I'm going to say. But yeah, no, there was no luck. Ain't no luck in this game. But anyway, if nobody can get away to escape, what are people going to do? And so I asked all you, where's everybody going to go? And what I'm looking for is like a place that all of America says, okay, we're not doing Vegas anymore. Everybody's going to go here. There's no answer. I think the closest thing is Miami, but Miami is not cheap. And Miami is also not built for masses. There's a reason why Miami has hosted the Super Bowl, but the football stadium is way outside of the city. If you are in Miami, you go to the Super Bowl game is not actually in Miami. The stadium is like, how far is the stadium outside of the city? You probably got to drive 25 minutes to get to the football stadium. Football stadium is like sitting in the middle of nowhere outside of the city. It ain't crazy far outside, but it's outside. And Miami is not built for huge events with tens of thousands of people coming to town. That's why they never had the NBA All-Star game here, because the arena is literally right in the middle of the town. There's not enough hotels for the people, excuse me. So how the number of people that are in Vegas, when the Vegas was popping, Miami can't hold that many people. There are not enough hotels to hold those people. And if y'all want to see an example of what happens when too many people come to Miami, look at the videos of what happens in spring break. And how Miami Beach has pretty much, not in Miami Beach is pretty much put an end to spring break in South Beach over the last 10 years. They have done everything they can to stop it. And I am technically a resident of Miami Beach. And I get all the emails from whoever the mayor is. The mayor used to be this guy named, what was that guy's name? His name was Dan Gelber. He was the old mayor. The mayor now is a guy named, I think his name is Stephen Minor. I think he's gay. I look at his picture, just looking at his picture, I'm like, this guy, is he gay? Anyway, him. And before that was a guy named Dan Gelber. And they're always sending out emails around spring break time talking about what they're doing to keep Miami Beach safe. And what they mean is we want to keep all these young college-age kids out of here, and we want to make this more of a family-friendly weekend to counterbalance what used to be spring break. So they basically shut down Airbnbs. They charge you like $100 to park your car, so you can't drive in. And it's hard to get into Miami Beach without driving. You take an Uber or whatever. They shut down all the restaurants at like 12 o'clock, so there's nothing to do at night. And then they got cops out there crazy just arresting people for whatever reason they want. And they basically have effectively ended spring break in South Beach. Aquarius said, why is Vegas over? Well, we've been talking about that today because the prices are up, the service levels are down, and they're mostly shifting towards corporate level events rather than the everyday person. Sam said, what is your profession? Well, I help people with performance done consistently and predictably through a system that we've created that is all about leveraging performance, discipline, and accountability. If I had to keep it simple. Kelly said, we are also boycotting Florida, so that's out. You're boycotting the whole state of Florida, Kelly? Why? What do you have against the state of Florida? Chrissy said, I took my kids on a hike in the Smoky Mountains to a waterfall. They hated it. City kids to the core. Yeah, I ain't going on no hike to no mountains. Where's the Smoky Mountains? Is that Tennessee? I wouldn't mind going on a hike as long as it's not cold outside. Now, hiking and cold at the same time, then you're asking too much. Now, if it's hiking and the weather's okay, I'm all right. But not cold plus hiking. I'm not doing it. Aquarius Goddess, I answered that question. Jason said, the closest thing I can think of is New York. Yeah, you try to take some kids on vacation to New York. What are they going to do? It ain't a lot to, I mean, you can do anything in New York. You got to be honest. You can do anything in New York. Problem is, New York only has good weather for like 3 months out the year. I consider good weather. To me, good weather is hot and humid. I don't like cold. I don't like rain. I don't like, quote unquote, y'all call it fall weather. No, I'm not a fall weather fan. I don't like winter weather. I don't even like spring weather in the Northeast. Northeast spring weather is like it's 60 degrees outside. That's not nice weather to me. Nice weather is 80 and up. If the temperatures start with an 8 or a 9, that's nice weather. The problem with New York is that New York is it is more adult. You can take kids to New York depending on what they're doing, depending on who your kids are. If your kids are a little bit older and they kind of can think and they can sit still for an hour, you can take them to New York. But New York is costly also. That's the other thing about New York, just like Miami. It's not cheap, and it's not designed for, well, I can't say New York's not designed for kids. New York's kind of designed for everything. You can do anything in New York. But I wouldn't look at it as a destination place. Generally, I wouldn't think of it as it. So Chelsea said the Florida Keys. Florida Keys are nice, but is everybody going to go there? It's too small. To get to the Florida Keys is like a 1-lane road. You got to take this 1 lane and you got to drive in. You can't fly there, and you probably don't want to Uber to Florida Keys. It's like a 4-hour to get from Miami to the Florida Keys, like a 4-hour drive. A lot of people don't know that. The actual Florida Keys is a long drive, and it's like one road, 1 lane this way, 1 lane the other way. So we don't want everybody going there. Then it won't be what it is. Jay said, how is that affecting local finances in South Beach? Well, here's the thing. Joyous protest. The reason why the people who live in South Beach are okay with shutting down spring break is because they don't like the element of people who come in here for spring break. So they're okay losing the money that will go to selling them alcohol and stuff. They're okay losing the money to keep the people away. And the people who will come here in spring break time, which is like, let's say mid-March to mid-April, is mostly young black folks. Let's just keep it honest. I know exactly what it is. I've been living here for a long time. So I've been in South Beach during spring break, and I see who's walking around in the daytime. And I'm like, okay. When I seen it, I said, okay, I know exactly why they're shutting this down. It's a bunch of young black people just acting rowdy. It ain't like they come down there just to spend money. It ain't Vegas. Vegas, you come to Vegas, you got to spend money because you can't do anything without spending money. In Miami, you don't have to spend money. You can just walk around and talk to people and just be outside in the street and just have fun without spending $1. So in Miami Beach, the people who run and own South Beach, y'all know these ain't young black people. It's a bunch of older white folks who own South Beach. The owners in South Beach are all white people and other people of fair skin. They don't want these young, rowdy black people running around South Beach acting like they have no sense. And as a black person myself, if I was a business owner in South Beach, I would be right there with the old white people. Like, no, get these mofos out of here because they act like they don't have any sense. They are fighting, smoking. They're not spending any money, so it's not really helping me. They're just getting in the way. And they're lowering the quality of life for the people who live there. And what happens in South Beach every year during spring break, what used to happen from about 2008, because that's when I first came here, from 2008 to about 2019, because then you had the virus, so it was quiet then. But from 2008 to 2019, people who live in South Beach would leave South Beach and go on vacation for like 3 weeks just so they could avoid the element that was coming into town. And they were trying very hard to vote for a mayor who would shut that shit down. And they finally, over the last couple of cycles, South Beach has gotten mayors, or Miami Beach has gotten mayors and city council people who are shutting all that shit down. So that's why. Because they can't legally come out and say, hey, if you're under 25 and black, you can't come to Miami. They can't do that. That'd be a civil rights violation. But what they've done is they've set enough rules up that make it effectively impossible for you to come anyway. And there's nothing for you to do even if you did. So that's what they've done. And I get the emails. I read the emails when I see them talking about this. And now they'll make little YouTube videos. And the videos will always be unlisted. So they'll make the video, but they only send it to the people on the list. So the only people who see the video are the people who got the email. and they'll put the video out and explain exactly what they're doing. And again, they got to use coded language because they can't say what they really want to say. Because the spring break crowd in South Beach from 2008 through 2019 was the people who were bringing the problems was young black people. And again, I can say that I'm black. Now, they were the ones bringing the problems. And the mayors are not young and black. They're white people. And they got to say it in the way that they got to say it. But everybody knew what they were talking about. So how is it affecting local finances? They don't mind. They don't mind losing some money for a couple weeks to keep these mofos out of here. Aquarius said, that's sad. Vegas used to be a vibe. Yeah, I still like Vegas. I think Vegas can still be a vibe if you go there with the right people. But it sounds like the experience is diminishing. I got to go there again in the summer. Right now is August. So I think if I can make it to Vegas between now and maybe the end of September, I could see, or I will look to next year. But Vegas in the summertime is when I like to go. I like outdoor weather. I don't mind walking outside when it's 100 degrees. I'm just that type of person. Now, most of you may not be like that, but that's what I like. Jason said, I'm with you, man. I like 90 degrees and 70 at night. Yes, exactly. So woke up this morning. It was like 78 degrees this morning. I ran outside and it's super humid. That's the kind of weather I like. Marky Man said, motorhome vacations are nice. Marky Man, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I never heard of that. Winston, thanks for the follow. 111,000 likes, folks. It's been great. Thank you, everyone. Jason said they have pretty much shut down Panama City, too. They have moved to Gulf Shores now. Yeah, Panama City used to be the spot even in the 90s. I remember seeing it on MTV. I don't think I've ever been to Panama City. But I remember in the 90s, I would see Panama City on MTV when they used to have that TV show. It was called, I think it was called The Grind. They used to have a TV show on MTV called The Grind. Y'all remember that show? The Grind? And all The Grind was they would take cameras down to some not South Beach, some spring break city in Florida, and they would just show the people dancing to music. That's all it would be. You just watching people dance to music. And it was called The Grind. I remember that one. And then they would have people like rappers would come and do shows there. They would get paid to do shows at these events. Now, that was a different type of spring break than what you see in South Beach. Now, the stuff they used to show on MTV was white people having spring break parties. That was the white spring break. The black spring break was happening in Miami Beach, South Beach, Atlanta, and Fort Lauderdale Beach. Fort Lauderdale Beach shut down spring break even harder than Miami Beach did, to be honest. I never lived in Fort Lauderdale, but I know about what they did. I know people who live in Fort Lauderdale. They came down harder on spring break than Miami Beach did. Fort Lauderdale shut it down crazy. And they got the cops out there with cops got free reign to shut down anything. Like if you're a man, and I had somebody credibly tell me this, that if you're a man and you were in Fort Lauderdale Beach and you walked up to a girl and tried to start talking to her, the cops will grab you. Like, no, the cops will grab you and you might get thrown in the back of a cop car. Because it was zero tolerance policy. That's what it was. Zero tolerance on anything. No harassment, no smoking, no sitting up in the back of a convertible. You couldn't do anything. No loud music, nothing. Zero tolerance. And the cops could do whatever they wanted to do if you were violating based on their, what do they call it? Their judgment. So they went hard. Marcus said, somebody said, asking me about Donald Trump playing golf. Now, see, when I don't talk about Donald Trump, people ask me questions about Donald Trump. He ain't the topic. Digital Whisperer said, late to the parties. Why do you feel Vegas seems slow right now? Well, these are things we're talking about statistically as far as them focusing more on the corporate businesses and high ticket stuff rather than the everyday person. That's what we're talking about. So I'm talking about their tourism being down, the money's down, the service level is down, they're cutting staff. There's not enough money to go around to pay the staff to keep the experience up, and being it as a hospitality town, that's a problem. So these are just based on data and information that we've seen over this year. Vegas tourism is down significantly, and that affects a lot of things. And I think is a harbinger of what's going to happen just in a bigger economy. So a lot of people like to say, I'm not saying this, but a lot of people do like to say that when Vegas is down, that means everything else is on its way down. Because when people stop going on vacation and spending money to have fun, that means other things are about to start dropping as well. So that's why this is an issue. Jason said, what about Savannah, Georgia? Yeah, what about it? I don't know. There's a place for the masses. That's what I'm asking about, a place for the masses. I don't think there's an answer. And that's a problem. The reason why that's a problem is because where's everybody going to go? Where are people going to go have fun? If people are not having fun, again, that tells us more about the whole the whole of society. I think this is a bigger picture problem that we're dealing with here, is the way that I see this. So this is not about hotels. It's not about even luxury experience, but it's about people's confidence in the economy. One, people aren't going to Vegas because most people have done all this thinking that I'm talking about. I think people aren't going to Vegas because people are just, for whatever reason, not spending as much money to do the things that they used to do. Maybe the money's going somewhere else, but where's it going? So it's not going to places like Vegas. And there's a whole economy that is held up by people going to Vegas and spending money. Vegas is an economy. Just to strip itself is its own economy. And if that starts to falter, what does that mean for everything and everybody else? So if it's not happening in Vegas, where is it happening? And based on the answers that you all are giving, I think we can conclude there is no alternative to everybody, quote unquote, going to Vegas. There's no other place. It ain't Disney because everybody doesn't have kids. And some people want to do things that happen in Vegas that don't happen in Disney. Disney is a family place. Vegas is an adult place. So where do the adults go if you ain't going to Vegas? This is the question that no one has answered. So how do people feel about their money? Some say that Vegas is an early signal. It's the canary in the coal mine of what's coming in the bigger picture. I don't know if I agree with that, but this is what a lot of people say. That when the luxury stops, then the basics are coming next. We shall see. All that said, folks, Edward said, Memphis, Tennessee, Beale Street, it's free. Okay, fair enough. Bunch of you have mentioned Tennessee. I don't see Tennessee as a tourist destination because it doesn't have the weather. That's the only problem with Tennessee. It doesn't have the weather conditions. Vegas has it, at least at the right times of year, and Florida has it. So that's the problem. So I would think maybe somewhere Southern California, San Diego, LA, Arizona, Scottsdale, Phoenix. There's no answer. I don't think there's an answer. I think they need to bring Vegas back. That's what I think needs to happen. All that said, everybody, we're going to wrap this one up. I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if y'all like this one, come back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. Usually I'm talking about current events. Today, this was the current event. We're talking about Vegas. Make sure you click the link in my profile. You want to learn about working with me, getting into our programs. I told you, Power Presence Protocol is about how you show up, your aura, your energy, your posture, your confidence, things that have nothing to do with what you say, who you are, or even what you're wearing or what you're driving. You want to have real energy in that way. Power Presence Protocol. I'm starting that program in exactly 2 weeks. I'm going to live train that for 6 weeks with everybody who's in it. Go to the link in my profile or go to workonyourgameuniversity.com/power. Workonyourgameuniversity.com/power. That's where you can get into that. Let me see if I can leave that as a comment. Where's the comments? So there it is. Workonyourgameuniversity.com/power. That's where you can get into the Power Presence Protocol event. They want to let me pin my own comment. Can somebody pin that comment? Oh, they said Wi-Fi is lagging. All right, we're going to wrap this one up anyway. But workonyourgameuniversity.com/power. That's where you can get into the Power Presence Protocol. That is starting again August 19th, 2 weeks from today. I'm going to be live training the entire thing. So get into that at the link that you hopefully all you can see. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. We are out of here. Work on your game.